Confessions of a Stripper, Tales from the VIP Room. The amazing thing about this book is that I notice it everywhere, from New York to Miami and San Diego to Seattle. But when I visit some of the places, I didn't notice that it was published in Las Vegas, Nevada, until I started researching more about the author, Lacey Lane. And the other amazing thing about this book isn't only the fact that it's published in Las Vegas, but there are no pictures, yet it's incredibly popular. Meaning, it's sold in a lot of books. Meaning, Miss Lane has made a great career out of writing this book, with chapters like Starting Out, Confessions of a Stripper, Look and Learn, The Psyche of a Topless Dancer, and she writes stories. As I watched the girls fetch the last of their cash, I started wondering what kind of iron constitution was required to step out on the stage and let it all hang out, literally in front of what amounted to a pack of hungry lions. I was certain that not one single woman who performed in the strip club thought of herself as ugly or worthless. Perhaps this was the solution to my self-esteem problem. As far stretched, I admitted to myself, but I could somehow work in a place like this. Maybe I would subconsciously break free of the issues that were hampering me, issues I didn't even have a handle on. Unfortunately, though, it sounded like a reasonable consideration. The thought opened a fresh can of worms. Confessions of a Stripper, Tales from the VIP Room. Again, there's no pictures, but great writing. Stories. Part 1, Confessions of a Stripper. Welcome to the show. The Psyche of a Topless Dancer. Look and Learn. Starting Out. Sink or Swim. Regulars. Special Events. Lessons I Learned. More Bang for Your Buck. Part 2, Tales from the VIP Room. The VIP Room. The Pit Boss. The Exterminator. Sweet Feet. The Love Glove. You Snooze, You Lose. The Collector. The Piggy Bank. The Private Dancer. XXX Files. Welcome to the show. A close friend of mine once said that there are more strip clubs in America than Chinese restaurants. I believe he's correct, but as you might expect, no two are alike. Some strip clubs are posh, megabuck establishment routines frequented by superstar athletes and major celebrities from the music, television, and film worlds. Other clubs are sleazy skankfests, little more than fronts of nickel and dime prostitution which appeal to the minimum wage set. Some are architectural marvels with elaborate decor. Others seem to have been thrown together overnight, haphazard, furnished, courtesy of a bargain basement yard sale. Generally speaking, a club clientele determines what the owner-manager looks like. If there are a lot of expensive cars in the valet lot, I'll bet a week's worth of tips that man's making the decision wears a loose-fitting gold watch and a thick gold chain around his neck with some kind of oversized Gonti pendant. Those nightclub managers who didn't pay at the being wise guys usually look as if they belong in a circus sideshow. Every girl who comes in here wants to be one of my girls, he bragged. The way he said it was reason enough for me to look elsewhere for my therapy, but I knew that deciding the scum-sucking pig like him that I was the likelihood part of the process that might ultimately cure my mental ailments, so I stayed put. The problem, there wasn't a snowball's chance in hell that I could shed my clothes for money. I didn't care what they paid me. I didn't have a problem with my body, at least not one that I knew of, but that didn't mean I wanted to show it off to total strangers. However, I did have some experience as a waitress. Maybe if I could get a job cocktailing in such sex-crazed atmospheres wearing one of those skimpy outfits the drink chicks wore, fuck-me pumps and barely their skirt, and a bikini top that left nothing to the imagination, maybe that would be enough to get me over the hump. A fitting word, considering we're talking about the sex industry. At the very least, I figured that by delivering drinks dressed like a call girl, I'd be able to put some cash into my pocket instead of shelling it out to a psychiatrist. I closely looked as she gyrated and swiveled around me. I got the feeling she had somehow detached herself from the action. She simply treated the table dance as a chore for which she got paid. When I started, I was scared shitless, she said, but I got drunk a lot during my first few months, which really helped. Okay, so much for the role model. Now I look at it just like any other job. Same as working in a restaurant or behind a sales counter. Trust me, I did both. They're boring and they pay lousy. Well, she was right on both counts. I, too, had worked as a waitress and as a cosmetics counter. Boring, big time, lousy pay, you betcha. You're thinking you're giving it a try, huh? I'm thinking about it, I said. Don't know if I'm cut out for it, though. Some girls are, some girls aren't, she said, and drained the rest of her wine. She stood up, then looked me squarely in the eyes. But if you come to work here, just stay the hell out of my way. I've got enough competition as it is. She walked away without another word. Decent money along the way certainly had its merits. I began to envision all the fantastic things I would buy myself. After my student loans were paid off, of course, the more I considered it, the more it seemed like a good idea, bleeding ulcers and broken nose aside, but I still wasn't wholly convinced, so I decided to do some more research. Regulars. Every now and then, some big shot celebrity or super wealthy businessman visits the strip club and throws cash around like it's monopoly money. You hear about it happening all the time. Scores in New York City and the now defunct Gold Club in Atlanta, two clubs I never worked at, were always in the news, almost always because someone looking for a few extra bucks squealed to the tabloids.